Breaking news right now. President Biden is delivering remarks. He's talking to the people in Bay City, Georgia, after surveying the damage caused by Hurricane Helene there. Let's listen in. President Biden.
Loss of heat, electricity, flooding, wiped out homes. We were just down in Florida to see homes that were, just wiped away. Just the entire island gone. Families, they lost everything, including loved ones, including family members. And I know it isn't the first time. Just over a year ago, a major hurricane hit these same communities. A couple months ago, Hurricane Debbie did the same thing. 3 in a row. 3 in a row. You've been through hell. 3 in a row. And I want you to know, I see you, I hear you, I grieve with you, and I promise you we have your back. We're going to stay until you're restored. Earlier today, I was briefed by Florida officials on the damage, and I met with first responders who've been working nonstop to provide aid and support to survivors. I did a walking tour of Keaton Beach with a bipartisan group of officials to survey what a 15-foot surge, some places went as high as 3 stories, does to a coastal community. Then I came here to Georgia to meet all of you to see firsthand how you're doing as well, because we're really in this together. We're separate states, but we're the United States of America. I want to thank Governor Kemp, who I spoke with again this morning. And Senator Warnock is behind me, Senator Austin Scott, Representative Sanford Bishop, old friends. In moments like this, it's time to put politics aside. Again, it's not one state versus other, it's the United States. You know, there's no Democrats or Republicans out here. It's what we do to make sure we restore the economy. Only Americans are here. I've been committed to being president for all America. In fact, all the major bills we've gotten passed, from over $1 trillion bill relating to infrastructure to a $368 billion bill on dealing with climate, a whole range of bills we got passed. Well, guess what? The fact of the matter is, more money from those bills have been spent in red states than in blue states. More in red states than blue states. As I said, I didn't matter where it was or who needed help. Not based on party, who needed help. And I mean it sincerely. So you can check it out. Our job is to help as many people as we can. As many as we can. And also, by the way, when you do that, I hope we begin to break down this rabid partisanship that exists. I mean that sincerely. There's no rationale for it. There's no rationale for it. And so it doesn't matter who we help, it's who's needed help. And look, we're going to help as many people as we can. That's why days before the storm hit, I pre-positioned extensive resources on the ground throughout the Southeast, extensively. First responders, search and rescue teams, food, water, ambulances. Before Helene had made landfall, I also immediately improved emergency declarations your governor and others asked for. And so all of us could focus on the first responders and standing up emergency operations centers. That was the focus. And yesterday, I approved Governor Kemp's request for a federal government to cover 100% of the cost for debris removal and emergency protective measures for 3 months, 100%. I must tell you, your senator had a little bit to do with that when he called me beforehand. But all kidding aside, we're doing the same for Florida as well as we're doing for North Carolina. Folks, this is going to pay for the urgent work to clear the mud, remove the downed trees, provide temporary housing. And on top of this, the Department of Agriculture, and I have with me the Secretary of Agriculture today, is on the ground to support farmers, ranchers, and small businesses impacted by this storm. And FEMA teams are literally knocking on doors to register folks so they can receive assistance, to buy what they urgently need, from prescription drugs if they lost everything. For example, I was just down in Florida. One home, what people really worry the most about is not just losing their home, it's they lose everything that mattered to them. They move, they lose that picture of their mom and their dad when they were kids. They look, all the things are personal. They look at that family jewelry, the ring that was the engagement ring, all those things. And I was with one rescuer who said there was a young family who had their entire home was lifted up and taken out into basically what we'd call a bayou. It's not a bayou, but a flat space out in the middle of a marsh. They went out there, they cut a road through with their vehicles that they got out there. They went in, and all they wanted to do is just receive, get back what they lost. They lost their home, but they were even more concerned about the personal things that mattered so much to the families. And so this is going to pay, as I said, this 100% to clear all the things that need to be cleared. And on top of this, the Department of Agriculture is on the ground supporting ranchers, farmers, and small businesses. And as I said, the FEMA teams are knocking on doors to register people so they can receive assistance. Think of all the people out there throughout the country here in the Southeast that they need prescriptions filled. They don't have the money. They've lost everything. They don't even have any way to fill their prescriptions. Or baby formula. They can't afford it. They don't know where to get it, how to get it. And so we're registering folks so they can receive this assistance and buy urgently needed things they badly need. This direct assistance is now being delivered. It's being delivered now directly, with more to come. But folks, this entire project is going to cost billions of dollars, not tens of thousands, not millions, not a billion, billions of dollars, because it goes through so many states. You know, and Congress has an obligation to me, it seems to me, to ensure that states have the resources they need. Let me close with this. I'm standing here beside Buck, the owner of this pecan farm. This afternoon, we got a chance to talk a little bit, and he showed me what he lost, talked about what he lost, and his dad. Acres of orchards wiped out, trees uprooted, debris everywhere. Decades of progress gone in a single instant. But through it all, Buck hadn't lost hope. In fact, he reminds me of another Georgia farmer who just turned 100 years old. President Jimmy Carter once said, "Tremendous progress can be made if we persevere through difficult challenges." This is a difficult challenge we're facing. This storm is extremely difficult for our country. To all the first responders, police officers, and volunteers who ran toward danger, to all the survivors and families who had their lives and livelihoods torn apart, we got a lot of work ahead of us. I was with them, as I said, I was down in Florida today, and a gentleman walked up and handed me a small pamphlet, a book that his wife had just written about how they lost their son. Their son died last time out in their home. You know, a lot of people in real trouble. But we want you to know, as I said, we see you, we're with you, and we're going to preserve and persevere to get through all this. Because, folks, this is the United States of America. We're not 50, we're the United States of America. And there's not a damn thing we can't get done, nothing beyond our capacity when we work together and put politics aside. So God bless you all, and now it's my honor to introduce Buck, who's going to say a few words. Buck, podium's yours.
Thank you.
President of the United States, Joe Biden, there in Ray City, Georgia, hard hit by Hurricane Helene. It's part of his visiting these hard-hit places that have just been devastated by this massive storm, the deadliest storm in American history since Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. Joe Biden saying a couple things. First, outlining what the federal government is doing, offering more help. In some ways, with that, answering the baseless accusations that Donald Trump is making on the campaign trail, saying the federal government is not to be found, that Biden isn't doing anything. That's not what the local officials have been saying, but it's a talking point for Donald Trump. And then really also bouncing off that, President Biden saying that this is what America does when there's a disaster, does her best to reach out and help the people who are affected, so many in so many remote places because of this storm, and that, as Biden said, maybe this can help us break down the rabid partisanship in this country. Well, that's a hope. For more, let's bring in ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, along with Morgan Norwood, who is in hard-hit Buncombe County in North Carolina. And Selena, first I want to go to you about what President Biden has been talking about. He is trying to communicate to the people that the federal government is there to help.
Exactly, and this is really a unifying message that he was pushing forward. As you say, he is re-emphasizing over and over again in those short remarks that this is not a time for partisan politics. And it was notable that earlier in the day in Florida, he was accompanied by vocal Biden critic Senator Rick Scott as they surveyed the devastation together. And the president there empathizing with the people who've lost everything. He's been meeting with families who've lost their homes. He was talking up there just moments ago about how he's talked to people who just in moments lost decades of progress. The president's goal today is also to reassure the people in these hard-hit areas that the federal government is there to help with their immediate needs, but also with their long-term needs. And the president emphasizing that it's going to cost billions of dollars. And in fact, the early estimates show that this could cost tens of billions of dollars and take years in terms of this rebuilding effort, a very long road to recovery. But some sobering words we heard this week from the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who said that FEMA is running out of funds, that they only have enough to deal with this current hurricane, but not enough for other hurricanes this season. The hurricane season is not over yet. President Biden today saying that Congress has a duty, and he's also said this week that he may reconvene Congress back to Washington for a special session in order to pass more funds.
All right, Selena, thank you for that. And Morgan, you have been covering this storm and watching your coverage, getting to some of these very difficult to access places, difficult to access some in the best of weather, few roads up in those mountains, and most of those roads now washed out. What are you seeing in North Carolina? What's the mood of people? What do they need?
Yeah, well, Terry, you know, the terrain is the biggest issue in terms of getting relief and starting the recovery process. You know, just take a look behind me here in Swannanoa. This is just outside of Asheville in Buncombe County. I mean, just the devastation. You've got cars on top of other cars, on top of houses. I think there's even a shipping container and parts of a tractor trailer here. And this is the type of devastation that's scattered all over the county, which is why thousands of guardsmen from all over have been brought in. They've been here for days now, but we spent the morning with the North Carolina National Guard. They started their morning over at one of the stations where they're filling up. They're getting all of their supplies, taking the water, taking the food, all the MREs. They're loading up their Humvees, and then they went over to a homeless shelter. And the situation there is also really staggering and heartbreaking for them too, because this homeless shelter was already struggling before, and then they're trying to struggle to meet the demand and the need of so many in the community. So that's a little bit about how the chain of relief works here in Buncombe County and Asheville. But that is on top of the 1,000 active duty troops that have been brought over from Fort Liberty in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so they're all going to be working in conjunction, working together on this massive operation of relief, Terry.
All right, Morgan Norwood, continuing your great work down there. Stay safe, stay reporting on those people that need it. And Selena Wang, as always, at the White House for us. Thank you both very much.